Today's more informal than normal. so, um, yeah, it's 6 o'clock. Let's start the podcast. Today is going to be my first non Meet the Collector series day. I got co-host Swolepoke here today. What's up, Jeremy?
What's up, everyone? It's a pleasure to be back here at the PokemonRadar podcast.
Thanks for coming back. We have a unofficial co-host right now. I may or may not be doing tryouts at the moment. Just kidding.
Also on my resume.
All right. Let's see. I gotta remember how to do this. Okay.
I think you just
Volume
pick
looks
a topic
good.
and all right.
Volume looks good for you. Well, today I want to pull up the chat here, see if we can get some people asking questions. Today we're going to talk about do a little recap on the Dallas Regionals weekend with, of course, Fukuda. Fukuda was there doing signings. What's his first name? I got the cards right here. Let's see if I can pronounce this right.
Mazasuka.
Mazakazu Fukuda.
There you go.
What's up, Bipsy? Hey, Kanto's Finest. Welcome to the chat.
Dang,
So,
first try, you pronounced it too.
yeah, not bad, not bad. I do work for a Japanese company, so I look at Japanese names quite a bit.
There you
Well, let's see. This past weekend, Jeremy and I, Swolepoke, we went to Dallas in
go. Yeehaw.
efforts to get some cards signed by one of the Pokemon artists. Of course, that people that know about this knew that he was the Gold Star King, Gold Star God. Um, it's just quite interesting. It's funny how he was the only one to design these cards. I mean,
Yeah, not only that, he also did a handful, like a big handful of the Delta species hollows.
yes, which without this event, I knew what the Delta species cards were, but I started looking at all of them, and dude, I fell in love with these things. I
Yeah.
really like the Delta species hollows. Um, I mean, that's not. I mean, there's EX Delta species as a set. Is that the only set that has those?
EX Delta Species is the only set that actually has the name Delta Species, but I believe almost every EX series set um, has Delta Species in them,
Has
or at
something in
least
them.
it's Harlem Phantoms does, EX Dragon Frontiers does, Delta
Yeah.
Species does, and I think there's one other set that has the Delta Species style Pokemon.
Okay. Yeah, I really like them. That those are other than the gold stars that I prepared to get signed. That's pretty much all I got signed as well. On top of that was Delta species cards. Um, but yeah, let's talk about the trip here. I mean, we flew in Saturday morning, which was that the first day of the event or the second day? It was the first day of
That is the
Fukuda.
first day of or
Oh, my
technically,
headset
it's the
reset.
first day of the signings. The event for Dallas Regional starts on a Friday and goes to Sunday.
Okay, yeah, that's right. And they do it at this at the DFW, the Dallas Airport, I think every year, or at least the
Yeah,
past
at the Hyatt Hotel.
whatever it is. And when I think I arrived about 10 minutes before Jeremy, and we were trying to figure out where this event was, and it was literally in the center of the airport. The airport was like a big circle, and in the middle was this hotel, the Hyatt Regency, and that's where they held the event. And I mean, at first we had to figure out a way to get there because supposedly we were supposed to take a what do you call it,
Shuttle.
a little shuttle bus,
Yeah.
but we didn't know that, so we went on a little adventure, made our way to the end of the sidewalk, and then through the parking structure, and then we ended up crawling up through this little hole to get underneath.
It
Uh,
was definitely a mission to get to the hotel if you're
yeah,
going by foot.
yeah, it was. I felt like we were in the Lord of the Rings going on our little adventure to find Fukuda. But
Literally.
yeah, so we found our way there, and met up with a few E4 members right away. Um, we ran into let's see, let's drop some names here. Sub Bass Head or Sub Bass Head. I know he gets mad when we say that wrong. We saw Gary and Leonhardt right away. They were hosting their own little table there, doing a little meet and greet.
Yep, that was
Um,
cool.
yeah, that was very cool. They actually had quite a pretty long line when we first got there. Um,
Yeah,
I'm sure it was a mixture of the both of them because Leonhardt, of course, has a huge following on YouTube, and Gary's been a guest a few times on his channel. Um, but yeah, Gary had all or a couple at least of his PSA 10 Charizards there, which we thought was
madness.
a little crazy. I mean,
Well,
you
the
know,
dude's just walking around with like $200,000 worth of cards in
yeah,
his back.
yeah, and on top of that, he just had it laid out in front of him at this event with who knows who's there. It's yeah, I don't know all these. I mean, yeah, we're Pokemon people. A lot of us are nerds, but there's got to be some sketchy people there that are looking to make a quick buck and take off and run. So
Right, right.
that would have given me a lot of anxiety. I'm surprised he did that, but it was cool. People got to take pictures with him. That was the first time I got to see the pristine. I don't know if you took a look at it,
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, that thing was pretty
It's
nice.
insane.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't held too many PSA 10s in my life, base set Charizards, so it's hard to compare. But that one looked perfect.
Right.
It was a nice copy.
Definitely, definitely.
um, but
Well, let's
yeah,
get into the signing because I think that's what a lot of people were wondering about. Since this was Fukada's first ever signing in the U.S. since I think 2013 Worlds.
oh really? Where was
Yeah,
2013 Worlds? Do you know?
no idea.
Okay,
Maybe Washington. I'm not sure off the top of my head where it was at. But yeah, this is the first time he's been in the U.S. since then.
okay, and of course, with the huge spike in popularity of signings, at least for me, I
Right.
thought this to be more of a business trip, more so than a collector trip on my end. Um, I'm not a big autograph collector or lover just from my world of sports growing up. Like, I never really cared for autographs. I cared more for pictures. So this was really just a business thing for me. I know you went in to get a few personal cards and, of course,
Right.
do some business as well. Um, but yeah, so when we first got there, the line had, I don't know, I think he had just
Stupid.
taken his first break. And the line didn't look that long. I mean, there was what, maybe 30 people in the line?
Yeah, 30 tops in the normal like entry line for anyone to go in.
Right. And they didn't have, or they had the normal line and they had the fast pass line, which I
Yeah.
didn't even know about. I wasn't prepared for this. I didn't know you could buy the stuff ahead of time. Um, but we stood in the back of the line for a solid, I don't know, hour or so. Some people came up to us that knew us from E4, and we hadn't moved an inch. I mean, we were just talking with the
Right.
guy in front of us, and um, I know you walked up to the front to grab your cards from someone who had them for you.
Vehicular menace.
Yeah, Vehicular Menace. I had spent some time with her this weekend as well. So you went and picked up your cards there, and yeah, once people started coming out, they were telling us they were waiting like 4 hours in line, which
Yeah,
to me
it's
it
crazy.
didn't make sense because it was a short line. But we quickly realized that Fukuda was taking his sweet time to make sure cards were looking nice. I mean, he um,
Yeah, there was
had
a couple factors that came into play with that.
yeah
Um, I think the biggest factor on day one was the fact that all of his signatures had his name written in English, and we found out that um, he is not comfortable at all writing his name in English. So it was taking him a decent amount of time just to spell out each letter of his name individually. And he had a nice handwriting when he was doing it in English.
yeah
It looked
yeah
good.
yeah
Um, but alongside that, with the sketches he had picked on day one, he decided to draw Rayquaza, Lucario,
and Tepig.
and Tepig. Yeah, that's what it was. And those just have a lot of detail and shading. I don't know if you have any photos, John, or I can.
Yeah, I actually just pulled up my picture of the three Reggie stars.
Yeah, there you go.
And yeah, I mean, fills out the Tepig and the Lucario a little bit, and
I was gonna say, if you want in the Pokemon Radar Discord, I can upload photos too from the event that I have.
Yeah, and I can throw. I've got my Instagram up. I can just jump to yours. If
Yeah,
you,
I posted the actual photo of the sketches that he had available to choose from.
oh,
But
you did? Yeah, let's take a look at that.
the amount of shading, if you look at those photos, is it's pretty crazy to sketch. If someone's gonna pick Lucario or Tepig, that's gonna take a decent amount of time to draw. So each person in line was able to get three signatures, three drawings, and they had the option of him signing his name in Japanese or kanji, I should say,
Hmm.
and English.
Yeah, and well, on the first day, while we were waiting in line, I actually gave up. Um, you got a fast pass from
Roxanne, who is Gezi,
Roxanne Gezi on Instagram
Instagram.
because
Yeah.
she was leaving, so she gave you your fast pass. So you got to get up pretty fast. And I just went and hung out with whoever because I didn't want to wait in line. I actually like took the time to like I thought to myself there like I don't even care to get anything signed. I just want to be able to hang out with people. But
Yeah.
because the line it was that crazy. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I think day one people were saying we had a friend who was in line since I think the opening, and they said it took about 6 hours to get their card signed, and then I went in the express lane, and that took me about 3.5 hours just to get those signed.
Right, and you only had 10 people in front of you.
Right.
They were
Right.
letting in five people at a time. So they were letting 3 people in from the express lane and 2 people in from the normal lane. And we actually timed it. It was taking what 20 to
No,
30
on
minutes.
day two. So day two, to give a quick summary, he had changed the drawings, which I'll upload those to. He changed the drawings to make it easier sketches that he could do quicker. And on day two, he was doing no English signatures, and you were only getting one sketch uh, uh, per three cards you were getting. Um,
Right.
so on day one, or on day two, we timed it, and with that in mind, the one sketch, no English. It still was taking on average a group of five people about uh, 25 minutes for them all to get their card signed and get out of there.
Right. So add in the two. He was doing 3 sketches, like you said, the first day, and the English writing, which he stopped that halfway through the first day.
Right.
They had, yeah, it was probably a good 35 minutes, 40 minutes per group of five,
Easily. Yeah, easily.
which was just ridiculous. Now, luckily enough, we got in line with Lapras Laughing and Jewel King.
Jewel King
So
what was Gambino's?
Young Gambino,
Young Gambino.
um, and thankfully
Outsider Night.
they were letting me use, or I actually bought 3 of Subass's spots that day, so I was able to kind of cut the line too. And the first day I got these 3 Reggie stars signed, which I got one of each sketch. This was before he stopped doing that. And I got his official signature. He was doing 2 different signatures. One
Right.
was his official 2020 signature, which he,
Which I might have that as well. Let me see if I can upload that to the chat for you.
and then he was doing just his name in Japanese kanji or whatever
Yeah,
the official name is, which is this one here I'm showing,
here we
uh,
go.
which we found out was simply just his name in Japanese, right?
Yeah, not his actual like signature.
Right. So I'm happy that I got more so of the actual signatures versus the just the name. Um, but it does look, both of them look pretty good on the card, depending on what you had done.
Right.
Yeah. So that was the first day. You got what did you get done the first day? You got the Gold Star Charizard, right?
Yeah, so I had brought I knew immediately to get the higher end cards knocked out immediately just because of the pace, and I thought the pace was going to be kept up immediately. But I had purchased beforehand a very mint and promising looking first edition Japanese Gold Star Rayquaza. Um, I had him sign one of my favorite cards, which is I think it's Unseen Forces Delta Species Ludicolo, and also a pack fresh pulled Gold Star Latios from EX Deoxys.
Yeah. Okay. And those first ones you had didn't have the Charizard sign or sketch. They had these other sketches on them.
Yeah, I think I did just Rayquaza for all three of those on that day here. I can upload a photo of that.
Yeah, a lot of people were getting the Rayquaza sketch, obviously, because it's Rayquaza. It's the Charizard of that era. So
Yeah,
I think especially the Tepig is going to be a much scarcer sketch you'll see um, versus the other ones. And
which, fun fact, we found out his favorite Pokemon is Tepig.
yeah, which I mean, you know, you look at what the expected value of this stuff is, and it comes down to demand. And I think more people are just going to demand the Rayquaza sketch versus the Tepig. But you know, you might find that one guy who will pay a premium for it depending on what he needs in his collection. Um, but yeah, you got some Delta species signed as well, which is cool. The Yeah, so the first day I only got in line once. You could get in line twice. Did you get in line twice?
No. So both days I only went in line once.
Yeah, and then we actually got some spots in someone's panel. So
Right.
there was a panel each day, which is another thing we missed out on that I think would have
It
been
was
a
huge.
oh yeah, it was huge. It was like an hour and a half presentation by Fukuda, who showed off apparently you know how he came up with his drawings and the whole process of that. Um, and then he did signings, 5 signings per person at the panel, which I think there were only 20 spots. Is that right?
I think it was 20 spots each day.
Yeah, 20 spots each day. And they each got 5 signatures. And we quickly found out that those people in the panel were starting to get custom sketches. So someone had, I don't have the pictures pulled up, but someone had an Entei Gold Star. They got an Entei sketch on it. Someone had a Bulbasaur card. They got the Bulbasaur sketch. So those are very unique and something that we definitely missed out on that I wish we were a part of.
Yeah, and I think it wasn't even something planned on his end. I think it kind of just became one of those things where someone just thought to ask and he just felt good in the moment. One of the staff members said that they could tell when he woke up he was in a better mood. He was putting more details into drawings. Like one of the days
Hmm.
he was having fun with it, and so I think when people could tell he was having fun with it, they felt more comfortable to ask him to do more. And so word spread quickly on social media when people started seeing all these different Pokemon being drawn on their cards. And then I think he just kind of was having fun the second day. And towards the end of the day, he was just letting people have whatever they wanted on their cards, which was super cool.
Yeah, and yeah, we saw who has something on there. Was it Fresh Pokepoles? He's the one that got the boxes.
No, that was I'm not sure what his name is. If you guys, if
Oh,
anyone's
was it?
part of Kanto Live, it was one of the Kanto Live admins who brought a bunch of booster boxes, and then he signed and drew a sketch on each of the booster boxes.
Uh, I don't know who to search.
If you're on Facebook, it's Kanto Live,
Okay.
but if you're not a part of the page, it's a private page.
Oh, I'm not a part of the page. But here's Fukuda. Here's this is Alec Pokemon. Alec Pokemon was the one that set up this event and set up the for Fukuda to come. So big shout out to Alec for doing that for us. I know he went through a lot of trouble, and yeah, with the lines being as hectic as they were, I think people were being a little antsy, a little rude at some point. So thanks to these guys for putting up with all of our crap. um,
Definitely. I mean, Alec, that guy was going hard. I mean, he was in that room every day collecting money the entire time. Fukuda was in there too. Alec definitely puts a lot of work and effort into these events and makes it definitely like a memorable event. I mean, I was having so much fun every time I was in the signing room with him. It's just exciting and it's a cool memory every time we get to do that.
yeah, yeah, and that's the other thing. You know, I was thinking like just looking back at my college days and waiting in line to get good seats at sporting events and how much I started to hate that like by my third and fourth year. Um, it's a lot of fun waiting in lines, especially when you have good people around you, just like talking about whatever it is. um, so yeah, hanging out with you in the line, hanging out with young Van Vino and all those guys, Pokey for Loaf, and um, it was just a great time, and all the other random people we met that were in there. You know, we started opening some packs. We bought,
Booster boxes.
yeah, we started off. We bought two Cosmic Eclipse booster
Yeah,
boxes.
yeah.
I had an insane box. I pulled like way more than you were supposed to, um, but ended up getting screwed when I sold it back to the to the vendors. And
Yeah.
then what else? We bought some Chinese legend makers, which were 100% weighed, but we were told that.
But we got out for like $2 a pack, which you
Yeah,
can't beat.
yeah. So that was fun. A nice way to kill some time.
Yeah, and I think we should also talk and let people know about, first timers going to Dallas next year because Dallas is always the event that has a signer, I believe.
Okay.
Um, so you and I found out for the first time that this hotel is connected directly to the airport. Um, and with that being said, the airport and the hotel are kind of like a deserted island. You're about 15 minutes away from any kind of food places or bars or anything, and we didn't know this, but there's a $10 toll for drivers to come in towards the airport or leave the airport.
Hmm.
Um, so having food delivered is kind of an option, but not really. We could barely find anyone who would deliver us food. And then if you're going to Uber outside of the venue, it's like a $10 charge is added to your Ubers. So keep that in mind if you're visiting. If you're comfortable staying at a hotel, for 48 hours and not really leaving and eating the same food both days, more power to you. But if you're looking to explore a bit, just keep in mind that you're not in walking distance of anything to do while there.
Right. And I think they even closed down the roads at some point, or
Well, that was, I
some of
think,
the
for
roads.
construction, so that
Okay,
probably won't
that's
be
what.
there next year.
Okay. But yeah, regardless of that, there was great barbecue. We went out and got barbecue at like honestly the closest place we could because we didn't want
Uh,
to venture out too far.
if you guys go visit Hard Eight Barbecue, that place was amazing.
Yeah, they just had a whole bunch of smokers outside. It was it looked like it was just a super foggy day, but it was just smoke just covered this whole place. And yeah, they had a bunch of smokers with just all different types of meat. I mean, they had turkey sausage. The brisket was phenomenal.
Pulled
Um,
pork, they had steak, they had chicken, they had turkey,
corn on the cob,
yeah,
the potatoes,
baked
just
potatoes.
everything, and it was phenomenal. I wish we had done that the day prior because we did that on day two. Um, but yeah, it was so good. Um, so yeah, the first my first sighting, like you said, I wanted to knock out the big guys. I went and got the trio of Reggie Stars signed, and these were going to be like the main source of like paying for my trip. And I had in mind that I wanted them in all Japanese, get one of each sketch, and it'll be a great little set to sell on eBay. And we were the very last group on the first day, so Fukuda was like
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
dead tired.
Yeah,
You know, we were going in later past his allotted time that he planned, um, and I gave his translator my cards and what I wanted to do, and right away on the very first card on the Reggie Ice, he starts writing my name in English, and I just sigh so loud, look back at Jeremy and go, "Oh God!" But you know, I was able to get the other ones done, and I mean they turned out great, and I think it honestly I'll get to keep that card and keep it as a little memento from the trip. So I'm happy it worked out that way. Um, I did already trade away the Reggie Steele to you, Swolpoke.
yeah. Me, if everyone forgets, I'm a collector, so there are cards I do want to keep for myself.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
and
here's the thing is, and maybe when people start listing on eBay over time, their signatures, you guys will notice there's like an actual difference in quality of sketch he does. And maybe that's just something personal, but I noticed on some cards there were sketches he did that just looked super clean, that he took his time on and did well. And then there were some where you could just tell he kind of rushed. And I totally get when you're doing hundreds of signatures a day, you get tired, and some of them you just want to hurry up and pass on. But um,
yeah, like
people got good times and good moods, or he felt bad, like for you.
hmm
And then there was a story, and I actually saw there was this kid who brought his own custom playmat that had his name on it, and he went through the line twice, and the first time he had him sign the bottom right with a Rayquaza sketch, and then when he went back, he wanted him to do a Charizard sketch, and Fukada must have had a lapse in memory or something happened, and he started drawing another Rayquaza on the mat. Um, and halfway through, he stopped and had to pause and figure out like how he was going to fix it, and he turned it into this really insane Charizard sketch with two wings and fire coming out and a body, and um, it's just like stuff like that. I think personally, I would love to have those kind of things in my collection where you could tell he put a little extra something
Yeah,
uh, in the sketch.
which you did good. But I'm gonna touch on that little point, which we saw instantly was the Tepig that he did on my Regirock versus the Tepig he did on your Ludicolo.
Yeah,
they're
it is.
they're they're just different. Like he felt bad that he messed up my first one by writing my name in English. So I think he really focused on the sketches on the next couple.
Right,
So they ended up turning out really good.
right, right.
But yeah, like you said, he did some special stuff for people um, that was pretty unique, like your binder.
Which I'm in love with.
Yeah,
Everyone knows at this point.
yeah. So we talked about this in your Meet the Collector series that you have a little a binder collection, which is turning out pretty unique. It's really cool. Um,
Yeah.
Tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I added a photo to the Discord if you wanted to pull that up too of the drawings. So this was just a fluke that this happened to me. I mean, I wanted the second day I got in there and we saw that he started doing Blastoise, and I immediately knew like I need to get a couple sketches in this binder that he personally drew. Let me pull up a photo of the artwork of it.
Yeah.
So he did the artwork of this binder, and I had brought this sealed and opened it just for him. I wanted like a fresh binder for him to draw. And so the second day, I mean, the second day was just as grueling as the first because we also got there at 9 a.m. for a 1 o'clock signing.
Yeah.
Um, and when we had got out of line, I think it was already like what 2 o'clock, and he was done at 3:30.
Hmm.
So we just knew there's no way we're gonna make it again. And luckily, we have a buddy who helped us out, who was part of staff, and he just told me, leave your binder with me, and I'll help you out, and I'll have him sign it with another sketch for you. Um, Towards the end of the day, when they finished doing the signing, uh, he texts me and goes, "Hey man, head on down here. Your binder's ready." And so I'm thinking I'm just gonna go pick up my binder from him somewhere downstairs randomly, and then go back to my room or with you guys hanging out, and he brings me into the signing room, and there's only I think like two staff members in there, and it's me. Um, and he's literally just doing custom sketches and drawings for people. And so I walk up, and he does the Charizard sketch, which I just think looks amazing with the fire and the detail he does.
Hmm.
And so then he presents another opportunity, which um, he had actually brought sample sketches for the people uh, who had pre-ordered commissions. So there was, I believe, 4 commission slots over
Per
the weekend
per panel.
per panel that you had to do like months in advance. And so for that on the website, he had 3 sample artworks that he did just to give people an idea of what he was going to be drawing like. And his intention was to bring those and then sell them at the panel, and there was some kind of miscommunication where his translator didn't realize he wanted to sell them. He just thought he was bringing them to show uh, the 2 panels on both days. And so before I left the room, he actually had asked um, if I would like to purchase some of his sample drawings. And so I just jumped on them immediately. I thought they were the coolest looking thing. I mean, I got a cool, you know, Dragon Ball Z looking Final Fantasy drawing. Got John this mecha looking Gundam drawing. I mean, so that was an amazing way to end the weekend, and I'm glad we actually ended up staying when everyone had left that morning or afternoon.
Hmm. I wish I had gone down there with you, but yeah, I was hanging out with Gary and
Yeah.
Vehicular Menace, and
Well, like I said, it was just like a random fluke. Like I had
right,
no idea he was
right.
going to invite me into the room, hang out, and then Fukada was just going to be chilling, having a good time. Just kind of, I mean, while I was in there, the staff member who helped me out, Connor,
What's his
he
name
had
on
a
Instagram?
Well, he doesn't use Instagram anymore, so I don't know if he
Oh.
has the same username. I think he changed it. But he had a Gold Star Pikachu, and he asked Fukada, "Hey, could you draw a Pikachu on here for me?" And Fukada actually counters him and says, "How about a Pichu?" Because
Hmm.
he said he liked Pichu better than Pikachu, and he drew a full body Pichu sketch on his card. And then
Wow.
another staff member got a full body uh, Espeon drawing on a Gold Star Espeon.
Oh yeah, I pulled that one. That was Jersey, right? Yeah, Jersey.
Yeah, Jersey got that in there.
Yeah, that's really cool. Now, also the binder that you gave him. Now, this was something that we were kind of told a lot while we were in line was, like because people were asking, "Can I do this? Can I do that? I want this and that," and they were kind of telling us like, tell him a story that he likes, or tell him, come up with something that he'll like, and he'll be, a little bit more, conscious of what he's doing with yours. And the binder you had was actually the first piece of artwork that he ever did for Pokemon, right?
Yeah, so there was two things he had told us. One was the first ever card that featured an artwork of his was Meowth from Fire Red Leaf Green, the Fire Red Leaf Green set. There's a
Do
Meowth in there.
Do you have the art of the binder?
Yeah, here I'll upload it to the chat. And then this binder the artwork we found out was the first official artwork that Pokemon approved to use for merchandise licensing, binders, deck boxes. Um, so that was cool. I didn't even know this. I just happened to bring this binder, but this is the first artwork that Pokemon approved to use for their product.
That was Fukuda's. So yeah, that was cool. I mean, I know that was probably the only binder or this binder that he got to sign, and I'm sure he liked that when he walked in with it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think something to keep in mind with people if they want something super unique going to these kind of events, whether it's a Rita, Fukada, whoever it is. Um, I brought the binder because I kind of had I'm an artist myself. I mean, I'm nowhere near these guys, but I just have always loved drawing, and so um, when they have more of a canvas to actually express or have fun with it, they're going to go into more detail. These cards are very restraining and restricting. It doesn't give them much freedom. Um,
Right. I
so
know.
I had that in mind bringing the binder, and so when I gave him it and I asked him to draw Blastoise, I had a feeling he was going to draw more, and he did. He added the cannons, he added a little bit of the neckline. Um,
Yeah, because
so I
this
think,
was the Blastoise that he posted or he drew on the little choose one sketch, and it like, when I saw it, I was like, I gotta get a Blastoise, but it looks kind of lame because it's just his head. But we understood like,
yeah,
yeah, it's a quicker sketch. He needs to get through this stuff. I did get a Blastoise um, as well, but yeah, like you said, when you gave him a canvas to work with, he had it in the cannons, and it looks so cool.
yeah, definitely. So I mean, I know they're not going to be drawing on pieces of paper for people, um, just
Right.
because. Well, here's something that a lot of people don't know is that these artists have pretty strict contracts
Hmm.
with Pokemon. I mean, you're not even allowed to be filming anything. You're only allowed to be taking photos. And I think they can only be signing and sketching on actual uh, cards or maybe I could be wrong, but I think it has to be like Pokemon licensed product is what they're going to be signing or drawing on.
Yeah, which opens it up to so many more opportunities. I mean, I know the Pokemon Center sells like one of 100 pieces that they every now like exclusive limited pieces that come out.
Right.
So getting those and getting them signed, or again getting binders or something a little more unique will be, yeah, it'll open up their capabilities of what they're going to sketch for you or do for you.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. I mean, if you can bring, I would recommend everyone brings a binder. If you love the artwork of an artist and a super unique sketch, bring a binder. That just gives them more free range to actually draw something and enjoy what they're doing, and not the same repetitive little tiny space of a card.
hmm And, yeah, there's so many more things that they've probably done that you have no idea. And I'm sure with a little bit of research, you can
Yeah,
find something cool like that. Um,
definitely.
but yeah, I mean, we were a little, weary of the location of the event and not having things to do. And but we had a little E4 dinner. Essen Pratt, Gary, again, all the names we mentioned, Pokey for Loaf, Young Bambino, all these guys. Um, so we had some time to hang out with each other and have a good time. And um, I mean, it did seem like there were fewer people than what was said on E4 or other places. Um, but I know a lot of Instagram people were saying they were going to be there, and I never even saw them, or I don't know what they look like or anything. But
Through Instagram, like the next couple of days, I noticed a lot of people were there. Just no one made a point to like stand out or say they were there.
right, so that was a little weird. I mean, don't I hope people will be a little bit more open next time of meeting up. There's a lot of downtime at these things. Um, Even though we are there for a purpose and there with some people that we might know better than each other, but we're there to meet everybody. So
Yeah,
I know a lot of my followers on Instagram hit me up about it, said that we're there, but they never. They said they wanted to meet, but it never did. So that was a little disappointing. I thought I would meet more people, see more people, and um, kind of expand that network. But yeah, I definitely think doing this again will be fun.
yeah.
If you
I mean,
get
I
it,
for sure want to go next year.
yeah,
Get on the panel.
yeah. That's the big thing is getting on the panel, and um, I kind of hope. I know Arita's doing one of these in Salt Lake City in March or April,
Yeah,
and I don't think I'll be able to go, but I need to figure out how to get one of these commissions out of them so I can kind of match it up.
right.
Um,
Well, at this point, commissions though cannot be Pokemon related at all.
right, right. But this thing is so cool, and I can kind of like just in my head, it could be like a failed Pokemon drawing that he did, and they didn't accept it or something.
Well, I mean, we also found out that Fukuda was one of the original Gundam. I don't think he was artist, but he was on the original Gundam team
Hmm.
back in the day. So I had heard beforehand that he's a big fan of Mecha, um, which is probably how that drawing came to be. Was just Mecha being a big thing
Hmm.
since Gundam's been around since like I think the early '90s.
Oh yeah, I think I joked around and I said this was the Gen 10 Pokemon Mechamar and Mechazord. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, that's another thing that like I wonder what some of these other artists have done because if I could get if one of them have done like Dragon Ball Z or something and I can get a drawing out of that from them, that would be epic because Dragon Ball Z is like
Yeah.
my favorite thing.
Well, Arita has done some work with a handful of different animes and mangas. I know Arita's worked with Final Fantasy. Um, I know he's worked with a manga, which is one of my favorites, called Berserk. He's done. There's another one. I know he works a lot with Square Enix, which does all those like RPG Final Fantasy look-in games.
Hmm. Yeah, and just I follow him on Instagram and he does some pretty cool sketches just in his free time. Um, which I've reached out to him trying to buy stuff off of him, but he never gets back to me.
Well, I've noticed with Arita, he doesn't seem to be in practice with Pokemon. And what I mean is, if you notice with all the Fukuda sketches he did, they look pretty, like I don't want to say good, um, but they look practice. Like they
Yeah.
have a certain style to them. They look like a cartoon. They don't look like the card art he's drawing on. Where with Arita, I've noticed he doesn't ever draw something unique on the cards. He tries to mimic whatever the card he is drawing's art is onto
Mm,
the card.
yeah.
And so I think I appreciated Fukuda a bit more at this signing because I could just tell Fukuda is still very well practiced when it comes to Pokemon. Um, he didn't draw a single sketch that reflected the pose or the style of the card artwork.
Hmm. Yeah. So that was kind of nice to have that and have some sort of organization. And I'm curious to see what happens with PSA creating all these and whatnot, and how big of if there's going to be any issues that pop up. I mean, I know we've seen some other sketchy signatures get through PSA's eyes,
Right.
unfortunately.
Uh,
Um, but hopefully, this kind of helps with that as well. He was very strict on the personalization of cards. There was no way around it.
I
Um,
mean, there was people were giving him random names like collector or That's the kind of bummer is that it was supposed to be personalized event and people were taking advantage of that. I did see on Instagram someone got Ash, as in Ash's Pikachu. Someone got
Right.
May, as in May's Torchic. Someone actually got the word collector,
Trainer.
trainer. Someone got Satoshi, which I think is like the Japanese name of one of the characters in Pokemon.
Okay.
Um, so people did work their way around it, which is kind of a bummer. Um,
Yeah, and well, honestly, I mean, to us, at least the people that we've talked to, is, I mean, we wouldn't even be interested in buying something like that. It doesn't look good. I think the true workaround is getting the full Japanese in there, because, I mean, at least for us, I don't know what it says, and it looks really nice with the kanji or whatever it is.
yeah,
So I think this is the true workaround for personalized signatures, is going to get everything in Japanese. Don't have any English on it.
right.
Um, Although I was able to sell one of my two Johns to another John in Discord, so that was nice. Help pay for some of the trip. Um, and I'm gonna definitely keep some of these things. I got an RK9 signed for my little nephew. I know he liked that story. I told him I got a 1 year old nephew that I'm starting up a collection for, so I got a little two Harwell signed
Yeah.
by Fukuda. He liked that. But yeah, it was a good experience. I mean, there were a lot of things that could have been better, um, but
Yeah, I think as these signings go on, since signings in the US seem to be pretty fresh, I don't think signings were a thing, even with Arita. They just only ever happened at Worlds. Um, it seems like Pokemon's going to start, cutting the fat off and getting these to be more efficient, which I think we've already heard Arita is going to be doing 3 signs in one sketch at the next event.
yeah. So things are going to continue to get limited. Especially with these bigger events. Like if at Worlds they were bringing, I think even with someone like Fukuda with being the Gold Star artist at Worlds, it would have been even crazier with the lines. So any big name artists that are going to do those events, it's going to be tough to get stuff signed. Um, I don't think we've heard any names for Worlds yet. I mean, that's all the way in August, but that'll be.
Yeah, well, Worlds hasn't had like a featured artist in the last couple years, I believe. Usually, who do the signing are like the execs and the CEO and the founder of Pokemon.
Oh,
Um,
that's right.
they haven't brought on an artist in a while to do an actual signing at those events.
Well, with all the recent buzz, and I'm sure that all the requests they're getting, they'll probably it'll be at least in their thoughts when they're putting this stuff together. Um,
It's hard to say because I think Pokemon's cracking down now and realizing what people are trying to do. Because it's been discussed, Japanese signings and U.S. signings are completely different mindsets. In Japan, you'll notice people get like commons or uncommons or just random cards signed where in the US everything is optimized to try to make some kind of money or optimized uh, in a way that benefits them more so than it just being a collectible. And I think Pokemon's starting to notice that the US side of it is looking at signings as more as a
yeah,
baseball kind of aspect where baseball signings are just purely money makers. So we'll see how signings go on moving on. For all we know, they might take away, personalizations of anything Japanese, and you have to give them a name, you have to show in that form of ID, or you have to present like an actual person
hmm
to get a card signed. Sketches might be getting more and more limited just because of the amount of time they take.
yeah,
I mean, I
yeah,
wouldn't be surprised if less than, let's say, like less than 1,000 signed cards came out of that weekend with Fukuda, and that's not a lot of cards
right,
to get.
right. And a lot of them are, again, most of the ones that I saw were personalized in English to that person. So those people aren't letting those go. They're not.
Right.
They're not going to sell those. So yeah, there's going to be very few of these on the open market. I mean, yeah, unfortunately, we saw some like posted the day of, which was ridiculous. And those were the ones that were two trainer, two collector, those people,
Right.
um, which is kind of a shame. But again, it's business as well, so it's understandable at least in our end. And yeah, I am curious to see what they do. I mean, I feel like if one thing that one of the guys said was there is that it's amazing how cheap these signatures are to get versus the sports world. I mean,
Yeah.
I talked to a guy here in California who does signings with the Giants and um, or I'm sorry, the 49ers and the Warriors and all these guys, and the amount they have to pay these all-stars or just even these normal, players on the team is ridiculous. I mean, they got, a couple $100,000 for, people like Steph Curry, people like, Klay Thompson, these big names. And then you've got a Fukuda signature who did the gold stars, which are some of the biggest cards in vintage Pokemon, for $15 for one card. Um, so I think Pokemon's either going to get smart and start charging a lot for these signings and start doing them more,
I think it'll go
or
two ways.
they'll just keep it limited like they are. And
They're either going to keep catering to collectors because, I mean, honestly, this event was purely a favor to cater to collectors. There is no way, shape, and form like this isn't. I mean, I know Fukada's going to make good money, Pokemon's going to make good money, but the mindset behind this is that we're getting a bunch of collectors signed cards from a favorite artist.
mm-hmm,
Um, I think the market's going to move into a way where they're either going to only cater to collectors, where it's going to get more strict, more personalized. Um, they're going to really come down on that, or they're going to optimize it towards more of a business aspect, like you said, where they're going to charge $50 a signature. It might not have to be personalized, or non-personalized is 100, where they're going to actually kind of cater now towards um, a monetary kind of market
mm-hmm.
in a way.
Yeah. So that'd be interesting. I mean, it's a brand new thing. I mean, within the last year, maybe two, where we've seen signed cards on the market, and I mean, just in the past couple months, we've seen some crazy prices go off. I mean, your Christopher Rush signed Mewtwo. I mean, you posted that thing on eBay for 1,600,
Yeah,
and it sold in 20 minutes.
yeah. Had I think like 10 watchers in under 20 minutes and then sold.
Yeah. So, and I know you bought one of those Kensugamoris. I mean, those are going bonkers. So it's it's again, it's Pokemon's an infant hobby in itself, but the signatures is even younger. So it'll be fun to be a
Right.
part of it and kind of play the market with it from an investment side. And well, actually, here's your Christopher Rush ones now. Yeah, those are so cool. I should have bought one from you when I saw them. I don't know if you would have sold it, but I like to think I would have had a chance. Those are awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I gotta head out, John. Thanks for having me,
Okay.
man.
Yeah,
Thanks
man.
for everyone listening. And I'll see you guys hopefully at Worlds. Those of you who are gonna be going.
Yeah, we did book our hotel. We just got to figure out the rest of the travel plan. So we will see you guys there.
All right, man. See you later.
All right. Thanks, Swole. Take care, man. All right, cool. Well, with Swole gone, and I think we hit all the major points of that weekend. A little bit different podcast today. I figured I touch on a little bit of these things. Um, Try to give you guys an understanding of what we had to go through to get these signatures. I mean, I ended up with, I believe, 10 signatures throughout the weekend, and that was over. It was a solid, almost probably 10 hours of waiting. So you got an hour for a signature. I ended up with how many sketches? Two, three, four, five sketches. Half of them were luckily I got there early enough to get a couple more of those. Um, I am probably going to sell the majority of these. I do have a few that I'm going to keep, but they'll go off the PSA and get authenticated. So, that was a fun time, a good experience. I think I did a good job of keeping my costs down and whatnot. I could have done a much better job preparing for it, getting some of the more higher end cards, getting some unique product like a binder that Swolepoke did to get signed. But we continue to work and learn and grow. So it's going to be interesting. I hope I can get some unique things from the arena in April or whenever that is. But I got to find someone to do it for me. And I hope there's a good little if not one, maybe some more artists at Worlds in London, because I'm all in on that one. I'm excited to be going there. So I'm gonna end the podcast here, guys. Next week I have to confirm once again, but I believe we will have Pokemon Flying Master, the leader and founder of the LCC community, and um, big time PSA 9 collector, as we like to say. So thank you guys again for watching. I appreciate your time, and I'm looking forward to doing this next week with a new guest and continuing the Meet the Collector series. So at that, everyone have a great weekend. I appreciate the engagement, the follows, the subscriptions, and we'll talk with you soon.